Hello, everyone, and a very good evening to all of you. Today, we are here for this very awaited session from SAWO Labs, and we have Abhishek Chandrasenan from SAWO Labs, who is a full stack developer but mainly engages in front end part of SAWO Labs, and he will be showing us a quick demo and walkthrough of how we integrate SAWO Labs in your projects. So, let's start with the session.
Cool. Hi guys. Hi folks. My name is Abhishek. I work as a full stack dev as Prathamesh mentioned in SAWO Labs. Before starting it, I want to just check, if I am audible, is my video precise and all that thing?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
it good
yeah.
to go?
Yeah, it's good to go.
Perfect, perfect. So hi. Once again, have a very good evening to all of you present in this live stream. As you all know, today we have partnered with API Hacks, and let's talk about SAWO Labs. So I will be sharing my screen for a second. Uh,
Yes,
okay,
I'll just be going to the backstage and
okay,
yeah, and stay tuned till the end of the session since we also have a giveaway at the end of the stream. So stay tuned for that.
cool.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Yes. I hope the screen is visible to all of you. Yep. Okay, cool. Hey guys, once again, a very good evening to all of you that is present here. I am Abhishek. I work as a full stack dev in SAWO Labs. SAWO Labs started almost a year ago with 2 employees, and now we are at 53 employees. And by the December end, we are trying to hire more 35 people in our company, and it is a very fast-paced, growing company. So SAWO Labs, we essentially try to eliminate OTPs and passwords. As you all know, passwords and OTPs are a hassle while logging in. So this is basically our main page where we are trying to simplify login and all that stuff. So this is essentially the key feature that you get with SAWO. So it is just a 6 minutes of integration onto any of your platforms, and it we do not store any data on our database, so it is completely on your client end. And these are the stuff, if you do not use SAWO Labs. As I was mentioning, our SAWO product can be integrated with just 6 lines of code, which can be done in 6 minutes. So this is essentially those 6 lines of code. Okay. And we are trying to integrate our products with these many plugins and platforms. So we have currently WordPress and WooCommerce, and Shopify is in the process. And yeah, as I said, it's either you have 6 days to implement your auth, or if you choose SAWO, it basically takes 6 minutes of it. So that is basically about SAWO. The next important key feature of SAWO is how you integrate with it, and we have a docs page for it. So here you would basically find what essentially is SAWO, how we implement our product. Imagine this is your platform, and we have the SDK code that renders as an iframe, and this is your 6 lines of code, and you have a login screen. Voila. What we essentially do is, when you try to log in through our SAWO SDK, we have 2 keys. One is public key and one is private key. Public key is stored in the server, and the private key is dropped into the device, so that it helps in authenticate you. And if you're using phone, we also have feudal protocols. So you might be wondering, why do we use SAWO? So these are all those key features that you can definitely go through our documentation page. Prathamesh would be sharing the link as well. And as of now, we have these many stacks that you can integrate your product with. I would take you through the React one. So uh, so react so in every documentation you go, you would see a video snippet of how how you can integrate the SAWO with with the particular framework or language. And this is so if you've used React, you would know the npm packages are used for any importing any package and libraries. So we have our SAWO package that is in an npm store, and you can use that. Once you install the SAWO you using npm package, you can import this particular line into your first line of your code file, and that is how you initialize the first step of integrating uh, your our SAWO SDK product into your project. So I'll be taking you through the dashboard where we'll be exploring the API keys, the host name, and all that stuff. So there are two. So as I'll be taking you through the dashboard, this fourth point would become more precise. So we have host name where we essentially cross verify to make sure that you are the one who's using that particular project. And suppose you have hosted your project on this particular URL, and the host name should be without HTTPS and backslashes. And you also have an API key, which essentially is the most important part of integrating your product. And the best practices is essentially to keep the API key in the env file, which I would be taking you through further. So as we give our our SDK, it loads in this particular div container. So this is particularly the size in which the iframe would load. And as a default, you can either give phone number or email ID. Suppose you want to take your end user's name or some address, you can also add additional custom fields, which I would be taking you to in the dashboard. And suppose if you are adding any custom field, make sure you add at least 50 pixels to the base height. So suppose your base height is 300 pixels as of right now. Okay, suppose you're adding one custom field, you have to make your height from 300 to 350 pixels. So okay, so this is one of the 4 lines of code in the six lines of code where we provide. So this is basically the config file where the whole product works. So this container ID is essentially the place where the iframe would load. So as you have seen on this, we have a div container called SAWO container. So the container ID would be SAWO container in this particular case. So if you want to change, you can change that accordingly. So now, as of now, we provide two options for users to log in. It is either through email or phone number. So suppose if you want to give, make your users log in through email, you can always replace your phone number SMS to email. So this API key is, the essentially the key that you will get from the dashboard, which I'll be taking you through. And this is a callback function. So on successful payload, on successful login, you will get a payload, which I'll be discussing in the later stages also. So this is another line of code which essentially would initialize the SAWO config object, and this would essentially this line of code was essentially render the entire project. So once you integrate it completely, the SAWO login component would look something like this. Okay. Yeah. So once you integrate it fully, these are the two screens that you would get. Suppose if you are using phone number, you would get this login screen, and if you're using email ID, you will have this container. So we have also made a React component for it. So this essentially is the whole div and adding div container to it. Suppose you can you can have just this particular SAWO thing, SAWO component where you can add your config object, and you can use this. So this is less than 6 lines of code. So that is about React. So one of the most important questions that we get is, what do we do with the payload? So yes, so this is essentially a mock payload that you get on a successful login of a user, where this user ID is unique, okay, and this is the identifier that a person uses. If so, suppose if this is a phone number, you would get a phone number in place of this particular email ID. So with this, okay, so suppose you add a custom field. Say you are taking a name of the particular user, you will get an array where suppose so in this dummy payload, the major concept is that we have added two custom fields. One is the name and one is company name. So you can utilize those values using the custom field input array. And with the particular payload, you can do three of these. Any one of these, you can either use this payload to store in your database, or if you want to, you can manage sessions on it, or it can be even fed to your CRM. So this is basically the part where you're doing a very fresh auth of using SAWO. Suppose you are trying to migrate from already existing auth to SAWO's passwordless. So this basically tells you why do you want to migrate to SAWO. So suppose you have already an existing login component, you can replace that particular component with a SAWO SDK, and on a successful login, you will get a payload as the payload I mentioned earlier. And with that particular payload, you can map all the values to your database or a CRM or session, and other stuff. So yeah, so this is another thing. So suppose if you are trying to migrate from social sign-on to SAWO passwordless, that is essentially the same thing, where you replace your existing login component with a SAWO SDK, and you are good to go. So I hope that is clear from my side. Okay. Now, one of the most important thing, as in, how do you integrate a project into, how do you integrate SAWO into your project? So I'm gonna try logging in. Okay, just give me a second. Sorry for that hassle. There was my mail ID. So yes, I hope my screen is visible. Yeah. Okay. So these are basically, the projects that I have, added to make my own personal projects and other stuff that I use on day to day. So this is essentially the dashboard, which is one of your most go-to plays once you're trying to integrate SAWO. So this project page is a page where you have details of all the projects in this. And so as I was mentioning, the API key, that is one of the most important thing, what you have to do with your project, and this host name I'll be taking you through in a very detailed manner once I start making a project. So this is basically, okay, we have user guiding also to tell, if suppose if you're a completely new user to SAWO Labs, you would be guided on how to actually use it. So this is basically my entire whatever project. So this gives you an entire data of what is the amount of auths that is being used project wise. I can do it on a monthly basis, yearly, weekly, and whatever, on the wide spectrum of however the data you want. So as okay, so as a normal user, you would get 5,000 auth in SAWO, but as you all will be participating as part of API hacks, we will be providing you a 10,000 authentication, which Prathamesh would drop a link on the chat where you can, access those. So with this, suppose you want to upgrade your authentication to say 25,000 or 1 lakh. So you can do that also. With the report button, you can actually, whatever you see on the screen, you can download it as a PDF also. Yes, that is these two buttons. So data analysis is basically, how much average does auth that I use. And these are a pie chart, of how many auths I have remaining and how many auths that I have used. Okay. Now coming to the project section, as I already mentioned, that this is, the uh, like all the list of the projects that I have. So suppose you want to make a project, feel free to choose any stack because we do not give a cap on the number of projects that you have to use. We only have a cap on the number of authentications that you can use in a month, which get refreshed every month. So suppose I want to use a web-based, sorry, web-based, project. I choose web and I use code, and uh, I press the continue button and I can, make a project. Suppose API hack sample project. And so this is one of the most asked question, what do we fill in this particular thing. So suppose there are two, what I believe as a developer, you have three stages technically: a development, a staging, and a production. Suppose you're trying to develop your project, you put localhost. Suppose if localhost is not working, you can put 127.0.0.0.1, which essentially is, same as localhost. Suppose I've hosted my app, say, on Heroku, and that would be a long string with HTTPS and a backslash. So you have to make sure that you do not put any HTTPS or backslash, and you just put, okay, suppose, okay, so this particular string contains, as you can see, it contains HTTPS, backslashes, and after com it has all these stuff. So while putting the host name, you do not put any of these, and you just put the domain name of it. I hope that is clear to you. And if you have any questions, we will be definitely taking a Q&A once we have this integration done. And I'm going to make a project so you can have the private key stored in your device, as that key is also important. So this API key that you see is supposed to be used on the projects that you're trying to integrate, which I will be taking you through a sample app where it would become more clear to you. So in forms and fields, technically, so yeah, so there is another user guiding about how to use it. So forms and field is one of that part of dashboard where you can customize how do you want your stick it a look and function. So this would essentially give a difference between what if you use email or phone number, how the different it would look on your iframe. And we also have Google reCAPTCHA, where you can add a Google reCAPTCHA, another layer of security to uh, to to check if unwanted people are coming or not. That is the Google reCAPTCHA part of it. And this is the additional forms and fields, as I mentioned earlier. Suppose if you want to take the name of your end user, you can always type name, and you have multiple options. Either you want to take a text or a number and all that stuff. And we also have two more additional features that we have added on our latest release. That is, suppose you want to add your company's custom logo, you can just put a URL of the image of your custom logo, and you can just drop it here, and it would reflect on your iframe. And next is another thing is a privacy policy thing. Suppose you have any specific set of privacy policy that you have to tell your end users, you can always enable it. And put in your link of your privacy policy, and that would render out in the iframe. So next is another, this is how, SAWO by the default gives you 15 days of cooling period. So what it essentially means is that for 15 days, the SAWO's login would be stored in your device. And so you can either increase it more than 15, or you can decrease it to one number. And this is essentially how your OTP would look like. And so I identified checkpoint is essentially a step before. Okay, suppose you are trying to only filter out a few people from the list of people that you want the people to get into your product. So you can give a checkpoint where it would verify or give a boolean value, true or false. Suppose I have given my personal, suppose I do not have access to that particular product. I mean, suppose you do not want to give me an access to the particular product. You can always give an endpoint where it would check whether I have to give access or not. Then it can return a true or false value back. So it would check, I would automatically allow or not allow the person. So this is essentially the email part where you always get that no reply at SAWO Labs or Facebook.com. So if you have your company name, you can add that, and the mail would come in that particular string. So this is basically the email header and all that are other values that you want to give in your email. So that is about the forms and fields of the iframe. Next is the part where you can completely customize how your iframe would look. So by default, we have a few themes. So you can play with that. Okay, this I personally love dark SAWO iframe, which looks pretty cool. And suppose you can always change color or whatever. This looks very wild, but yeah. So so this form is completely customizable. As you can see, you can change the label color, you can change your border, you can change how your button should look like, and you can what the color of the button should be. And yes, suppose you can also change what your login button should look like. And we also have the show by powered by SAWO, where if you want to let people know that you are using SAWO, you can always do this. And once you save your iframe, on every refresh, your iframe would load. And this is basically the referral thing. As I mentioned, you will by the default, as a person who does not come from hackathons, you get 5,000 odds. But as we have partnered with API Hacks, we will be giving you 10,000 odds. Prathamesh, make sure you drop the link in the chat. And this is essentially the docs part of it. And this is basically where you tell us how you liked our product and how you felt about it. So that is essentially how the dashboard works. So I've been talking about a dashboard and how SAWO is. Now let us jump on to a demo app that I have made. So basically this is okay. Uh, so this is a sample app that I made. This is a very simple app where you can, track the IP address of the particular person. So I have few components here, and yes, SAWO login launchers. As I mentioned, you import the SAWO part to your project. You initialize the var config, where this essentially takes all the important values. So for now I have added email to as my identifier type, so the SAWO SDK would ask for an email. So we highly recommend you to store your API keys in an env file, because it is not a very good practice to expose your API key in the version control or your code base. So once that's done, so for now I have on a successful payload, I have stored the user ID on local storage and cookie. And you can do it, you can store the data on your database or feed it into CRM, or according to your personal preference, and that is pretty much about how you integrate SAWO. And this is the code part of it. So this is how it looks like once you integrate it. So yeah, so as I mentioned, so this is a very plain project where I've just added, the very default one. So I'm gonna give my, so I, as I've already added SAWO, it just takes me through it. So that is essentially the power of SAWO. Once you log in, and okay, I'll show you one more thing. uh, I'll show you how you can, just to get you a feel of the basic process of it. So suppose you're logging it for the first time. You put your mail ID. It asks for your mail. I'm going to take a second to take this off. Yep. Uh, I hope my screen is visible. I put the OTP, so it asks me the screen. So the reason why this screen was not, present on when I tried to log in first was because I've already made it. So you can, choose trust or no trust. So once you mark the browser as trusted, it would save your data in your particular device for for 15 days, or how much ever you have set it as. So that is pretty much about that. So this is basically a very simple project where you can track, any IP address. So it would take you to this particular thing. So I've used Leaflet JS for making this particular product. So that is as simple as this. So on logout button, it would ask me that, you'll be logged out, and you're logged out. And suppose if I want to log in again, I just seamlessly log in without the hassle of OTPs and password. Yes, that is pretty much it from my side. I hope it was not too fast. Yes, guys. I hope it was a bit interesting. Yes. Pratmesh? Okay.
Yeah. So we actually have a lot of questions. So I
Okay.
hope, yeah, you can answer a few of
Sure,
them.
sure.
Starting with, okay, so some of them have asked that since you showed a example of React, right?
Yeah.
And you showed how you are hiding the API keys using .env files. So
Yeah.
how can they do that so that their keys are not displayed on GitHub?
Yes. So you can always make a .env file where so in React you have to make sure that you add React underscore app underscore and then the env variable. So as you can see in, let me share the screen again. As you can see that, I hope my screen is visible to you.
Yes, yes, it's
Okay,
visible.
cool. So SAWO API essentially is, the env name that I have, used. But React asks you to add a suffix, to add a prefix of React underscore app underscore and then the name. So you can use it and you can store it on .env file, and make sure you add it on .git ignore also, because otherwise it would not make sense. I
Got it.
hope that question is cleared.
Yes. Okay. Then someone was trying to put the host name, but they couldn't. So I'm not
Yeah,
sure what the issue was. So
yeah.
can you
So
just,
yeah, sure. So if you're trying to, ask, okay, I'm trying to put host name, but I can't. Okay, so Varun, I wanted to know in which environment you're trying to run. Are you trying to run on development, on production, or staging? If you could clarify that, we could take your question forward.
Okay. Moving ahead, we also have a question. Can we use this as a replacement for OTP payments?
Uh, OTP payments, we are working on it. That is one of the next coming in the coming roadmaps.
All right. Um, okay, someone's asking how is SAWO different from Google Auth, and this is a question that I had as well. Like,
Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
how is it different from Google authentication?
Okay, so the major difference between Google Auth and SAWO is basically we do not store any data on a database where Google stores every data, whatever your name, your password, and they use 2FA, and we only used 2FA as the first time when you log in. So that is one of the major difference between Google Auth and SAWO.
Got it. Okay. So what are some of the really cool projects that you have seen that the people have built using SAWO?
Oh yeah, so one of in one of the hackathons, Spotify, right? So they
Yes.
made something similar to Spotify, but for sports.
Oh,
Essentially that was where you could watch the streams that was happening together, with with
okay.
all that stuff. Yeah,
Oh, that sounds really great.
yeah,
Okay. Now, talking specifically about our hackathon, what is
yeah.
something that you would recommend to the hackers? Like some specific framework that they should prefer or something like that?
So, I mean, that is not something my forte to say, because I think I'm very comfortable with React, but I have friends who are very comfortable with Django, and we also. The best thing about Savo is that we have so many platforms to use it. So I don't think it would be a big of a
Mhm.
issue to actually choose. And I would say it is your personal preference. But if you ask me, personally, I would go for React, because I'm a big fan of React.
Yeah, got it. Um, Varun asks, what? Okay, Varun asks is, can I verify my user once they are authenticated?
Yes, so that is currently in our current roadmap, which will be, soon in like a week or two.
Got it. Got it. Okay. We also want to know what will happen when the 10K odds run out.
So, this 10K odds is there for a month. So
Okay.
once you use that within a month, you will have to upgrade your plan. But the plan, so you will get 10K authentication the next month. So it gets
Oh,
replenished every month.
got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. That's really great. I mean, pretty generous if you ask,
Yeah.
because those odds. I mean, it's costing the company money, right, to make those authentications.
I mean, we are into supporting communities, and all of us have been in part of community where we understand how important is to give. So I'm a person who has been very active in community. So I try to give back whatever I got. So that is another thing.
Yeah, that's really great, actually. Okay. Another question that I have is, how robust is the API? So, what if a lot of users start logging onto it at once using your app? So, will that be able to handle, or there can be some issues?
No, we are scaling our product, every week, and we are trying to increase our capabilities, to an extent where I don't think as of now it is gonna cause a trouble.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, that basically answers most of my questions. And
Okay.
and the questions that are in the chat as well.
Okay,
So
perfect.
yeah, that's about it then. I'm guessing if okay, yes, learn with community and give back to the community. That's
Perfect.
really
Yes,
great.
yes, it is. And
uh,
one more thing, make sure. So we have a really fantastic community. So most of our feature requests, our frequently asked questions come from the Discord channel that we have. So make sure Pratham, if you could, just
yes,
put in the chat
we'll
of our Discord channel. So if you have any queries, we have a huge community where your every query will be answered as soon as possible. So yeah.
all right, we have a giveaway right now. Yes, I'll be adding Anuj to the stream, who will be announcing the winner of the giveaway, and they can contact Anuj on the SAWO Discord community, which I'll be sharing the link. Yes, I'll be sharing the link in the chat.
Hey everyone, thanks Prathamesh for pulling me up to the speaker panel. Hey Abhishek, it was a really great session. So I guess I'll start with my introduction. My name is Anuj Sharma. I work as the community manager at SAWO Labs. You'll see me talking in various voice channels and panel discussions in various communities. I'm really active there. So regarding the giveaway, actually I was pretty confused. That I was thinking that the person with the most creative question would be getting the giveaway, but there were so many questions and I'm not pretty sure whom to give. If I don't give to all, then that would not be fair. So I just I came up with a small activity. What you need to do is that you need to take a screenshot of the session which is going on right now, share it on your social media, tag Tech Phantoms, tag SAWO Labs, tag Abhi, tag me, Prathimesh, Abhishek, and you have to write a cute caption. And by cute caption, it could be anything. Roses are red, violets are something like that. I'm not sure what to say, but it should be related to SAWO API hacks, or why you love API hacks, why you love SAWO's API, the benefit, anything. And then we'll select one winner from there. So be sure to use the SAWO hashtag SAWO for auth and tag us. I guess this sounds fun. Abhir, Abhishek, Prathamesh.
Yes, that definitely sounds amazing. Um, say all your social handles, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever you want. Just tag SAWO Labs and you'll be eligible for the giveaway.
Yeah, I'll drop in the link for the SAWO Labs. Just give me a
Yes, the
sec.
Discord channel.
Yeah. Uh, Basically the whole Discord channel, social media, everything. So this is the link.
Sure.
It would be great if you could share. You can join a community, take part in upcoming sessions, follow us on every social media platform, and do tag us. So the winner would be announced tomorrow or day after tomorrow. We'll let them think of some creative captions, because cute caption doesn't come easily. Either you need to be in love with that thing or in love with someone. So this is it for
Yes.
the giveaway. And as you were speaking about the community, Abhishek already mentioned we have a very diverse community, and there are many community members who are really active, who solve problems, guide. Abhir is one of them. He's the MVP, most valuable person at SAWO community. He has been guiding people around SAWO and helping them use SAWO API. So do join. It will be fun. You can start with the introduction, and then we can take it there from directly from there.
Sure. I actually wanted to point out two things, that there are two channels that are my favorite in the SAWO Lab Discord channel, which is hashtag I made this and tools you use. These two channels are my favorite because people share about the projects that they made using SAWO, and also some tools that I never knew existed are shared in the tools you use channel, so that I constantly pick up new things from that channel, and it's really great.
My
Siddharth.
favorite Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
yeah, yeah. Someone says he forgot about the session. The session will be there on YouTube. You can watch it anytime you want, and follow the steps to integrate SAWO in your project for the hackathon. That'll be great.
And yes,
Yes.
Varun was asking about the Discord invite. We have shared the link. You can have a look at that. The Discord invitation is there for you. Yeah, this one.
Yes, Anuj, you were saying something about the Discord channel.
I don't
Reg-
remember now.
it was I was saying about the two channels, tools you use, and I made this channel.
Okay.
So
I was saying about my favorite channel. I really like feedback because we keep on getting feedbacks where we can improve as a product, as a community, and the general channel because people discuss about anything and everything on the general one, fun activities or they want something. So general and feedback are my favorite. Abhishek's favorite must be
awesome.
ask for help.
Yeah, I make sure that channel is full on now notification, and I make sure okay I am active there because I think as a person who comes from community, it is very important to to give back to the community also. So and
Exactly.
as Prathamesh mentioned, the tools that I use one of these spot on channels in our server because even I constantly use a few of the tools that just mentioned there. So yeah.
Yes. Okay then. So I don't think we have any other questions, and it was a really insightful session. I mean, I'm sure I have an idea of how I am going to integrate SAO in one of my projects. So I am pretty sure most of the people watching this session would have also got an idea of how they can integrate it as well. So thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and make sure you register at API Hack so that you can use the SAWO Labs API and integrate it in your project and be eligible for the price that is $100. And also, everyone who integrates SAWO in their projects will be getting some form of uh, goodies or surprises that you shouldn't miss out on. So definitely make sure that you integrate SAO in your projects. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a pleasure hosting with you.
Yes. Thank you,
Okay.
Anuj. Thank you, Abhishek
Yeah.
and Abir.
Bye bye. Take care.